We hide it so well. We're not really telling everybody about it. And who's really keeping count here? Because I don't even think in my medical records they say I have hirsutism. I don't even think they say I have PCOS. I just found out I had PCOS due to an ultrasound. Now, is that noted in the medical records? Like, where y'all getting the information from? Hey everyone, welcome to the Umber by Lene podcast. This is our first episode ever, so I thank you so much for tuning in. So my name is Jasmine Nelson. I'm the CEO founder of Umber by Lene.
My name is Chris. I'm the husband and co-CEO.
So for this podcast, I'm thinking we're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about beauty, health, and wellness, having discussions with guest speakers, all the things that have anything to do with excessive facial hair, body hair, hormonal imbalances, anything you can think of, because we feel like this community is very underserved and deserves a podcast, especially from a point of view from someone who actually has it. No, I'm not a doctor, but I'll have some up on here.
In this first episode, we're going to be getting to know more about the CEO. And, I'm sure she has a couple questions for me. So it's going to be just a conversation that y'all get to be a part of. So with that being said, let's get it cracking.
Let's get it started, babe.
All right. So I wanted to let the people know, like, what is Umber? Like, why did you name it that? What does it mean? What does it mean to you? And what gave you the inspiration to, name the company that?
Well, babe, it's so funny getting on this like this. Anyway, y'all just ignore me with this extra stuff. But the reason why I started Umber was because I had my own issues with hirsutism, which is a symptom of PCOS. I dealt with it a lot with my teenage years. I felt pretty. I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel feminine. I felt all the things that a girl should not be feeling at that time. And it just kind of just kept transferring. It's not even it just got worse over time. Becoming an adult, the hair kept coming in. And eventually, I will do some deep story digging and letting you guys know exactly what it is that actually happened to me more in detail. But long story short, once I was a stay-at-home mother, because I had to skip all the way to that part. Once I was a stay-at-home mother, I felt like, look, I done did electrolysis. It didn't work for me. And that's supposed to be the most permanent way to get rid of facial hair. And it just wasn't working out. So I had that extra time to start studying and researching, experimenting with things that I came across online. Mm-hmm. I actually went to a few classes as well. No one really knows about that, but a few classes trying to figure out how to mix something together to like create
chemistry.
Kind of like chemistry classes, botanical. I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, I went to some classes at a library in Oakland. All right, but anyway, so and I found out a lot of things on how to just kind of like it's just trial and error. But the reason why I came up with Umber is because whatever it is that I came up with, it had to be organic. It had to be from Earth. And the name Umber is actually a color. It's a shade or a hue of brown, and brown is dirt, and dirt is supposed to keep everything that's natural growing out of it. So that's why I chose that name. Not anything in particular. I did want it to be different, and I did want it to be something that resonated with me as far as something that was natural.
And I remember you saying that, stuff grows out of the dirt, kind of like how your hair be growing out your face.
Yeah.
So it's a relatable, okay.
Well, I want to touch on that a little bit. So I don't know. I got to find a bottle. I need to find a bottle. Maybe I could just put it on the screen or something. So there's like this S-shaped looking symbol that's in my logo. That's actually supposed to be a curly hair follicle. Because when I first started this project for myself, I'm like, I need something that's going to deal with my curly hair. So it's a curly hair follicle that is coming out of dirt, and there's like leaves and stuff in the background. So it's a little abstract logo. I want to keep it forever. We're going to see where that goes. But that's part of the whole Umber journey as far as developing the design of the label.
Yeah, I really like how you designed that. I know that you have background in you went to the School of Arts and whatnot in San Francisco, right? And that helped you to design all that. This was all done, by you, handmade, the formula, the logo, everything has come from the mind of Jasmine. So
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, I think going to CCA really helped me a lot as far as like trying to develop a product. I mean, I went there for architecture and fashion design, but through that journey of trying to learn design and all the mediums that it comes into, I was able to apply it to starting at least the look of how I wanted this product to be. And I'm kind of wondering why you never came and visit me when I was up at that school. You just kind of was like, "It's too far. Like, what's going on?"
Well, I had to work. I didn't go to college and all that. I went to work. I think back at those days, I was working. Um, was that AT&T?
I think
Doing the
it
work,
was,
or
but you
maybe it was even before AT&T, and I was working at the 6 days a week, canvassing, walking, knocking doors. You know what I mean? So I saw you when I got to see you, thankfully, but I was for sure busy. Thankfully, I was working because that's what allowed you to have extra time at the end of the day to create this. So I ain't trying to pat myself on the back, but it's a little bit.
what he's trying to say is he wasn't a distraction while I was in my school days. But he was, because I was really traveling too long. Anyway, we're not gonna get on that story. So what you got? What's the next question you have?
Well, I think since we're getting to know us, and I think we should introduce how we got introduced and let everybody know our story. When it comes to how we met, I think that'd be interesting for the people. What you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think we could tie in the whole facial hair thing in there too, because I was kind of curious of how this was gonna go, because I didn't really date too many people because of my condition. But I'm glad that I already knew you before it really started.
So yeah, we met in high school, thankfully at Skyline High. Shout out to the Titans, you know what I mean? But initially we really met on MySpace first, which everybody thinks is hella funny. But yeah, we met on MySpace back in those days. I don't know if y'all old enough to remember. I mean, y'all probably old enough. Y'all remember about MySpace. And she reached out to me, and ever since then we just been kind of friends, and we got real friendly after high school. We never dated in high school, but we got to know each other a little bit more, and that's kind of what helped spark this journey as well. Because y'all ladies like to hide the fact that y'all got facial hair and all that, but we be knowing, and I had seen it. I don't know if you want to tell them what happened.
No, I'm pretty sure the people didn't hear my story. I'll tell my story, but I want you to tell your version of it because it's coming from a different perspective from a guy. So why don't you tell me exactly when and how you actually found out? Because this is curious to me. This is new grounds, you guys. I don't think he really told me exactly his perspective of how he found out.
Well, I mean, I found out like I got two eyes. I wear glasses, so I don't miss nothing, and I didn't miss it. I was able to, because of your beautiful self and personality. I looked around it, but I was curious about it. She used to wear more makeup, or she used to wear a lot of. Well, I don't know if it was a lot, but she was wearing makeup before y'all, and I don't really like. Uh, I like my girls natural. You know what I mean? And so I was like, "What's up with all this makeup? You know what I mean? What's all these up under here? You know what I mean? What's up? What's going on with all this?" And I guess I was pretty direct. I might have been a little. She might have been a little embarrassed to tell me what was up, but she told me, she couldn't really hide it. Y'all try to hide it, but we could see y'all. Come on. So, she told me about the facial hair, and I loved her at that point already. So it was like not a big deal for me. I was like, okay, well, instead of hiding it, and you're making the issue worse, really, with what you're doing. The makeup is clogging your pores. You're getting extra bumps. You know what I mean? It's not helping nothing. And so I told her, like, this is what my dad told me when it comes to shaving. We got curly hair, and so you can only shave with the grain, or you shave with the grain, not against the grain, and you go with a single blade razor, so you don't go so deep to make the hair more likely to have ingrowns. And she was like, okay, that's game. You know what I mean? And so I told her that, and I helped, started on the more of a journey to fixing the issue instead of just band-aiding it. You know what I mean? And so that's a tip for y'all. Remember that, the single blade razor. I know if y'all been on the Instagram, that's been said a couple of times.
Many times.
But yeah, maybe y'all ain't heard it yet.
Or not listening.
So speaking of, the facial hair, I wasn't even before I met you. I wasn't even really aware that this was a problem. You know what I mean? That in the community of women, black women, colored women, everybody, white women have it too. They got issues that as men we don't really we don't really see. And so I like I said, men are really knowledgeable about it. So can you speak on some of the causes for the people out there who don't know, for the men maybe who are watching this? What causes it, and where does it come from?
I mean, there are many causes to a woman having excessive facial hair. I mean, me personally, I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, so that condition gives symptoms like hirsutism, which is what I have. A lot of women have PCOS, hirsutism, but there's also a lot of women who don't have PCOS and just have like a lot of facial hair or body hair, whatever the case may be, male pattern hair growth. So it could be due to menopause. It could be done with fibroids due to fibroids, thyroids. People have Cushing's disease. People have side effects from medical conditions or medications. I mean, the list kind of goes on. I mean, and also think about it, like, who don't have a grandma or auntie with facial hair? There's just nothing wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? It could just be a hereditary thing as well. Like, there's definitely a lot of um ethnic backgrounds that are just naturally hairy. That's all I could say. But for me personally, I knew there was something wrong, um, because to see terminal hair in places where it should be like peach fuzz, I was, oh, no, no, no. It's got to be corrected. So I would say that's a few, just to name off top, that would be a few of the reasons why someone would have excessive facial hair or body hair at all.
Okay, that's real informative. And so, like you said, we all got relatives that might deal with this. I remember seeing my aunties. I ain't gonna name no names, but
I know them.
we used to joke about it, as kids. But and I think that's why this subject is real taboo. Don't nobody want to let anybody know that they're dealing with this issue. But when they're quiet about it, people don't get answers. Where they don't get any help. Did you ever get any help from your family members about this issue? Did you tell them about it?
Mm, I mean, growing up, I would watch my mom pluck her chin hairs every now and then when she wanted to wear makeup or whatever. And I really was not thinking much about it. I'm like, okay, well, she got some chin hairs, like, so what? And then when I moved in with my grandmother, she always had some tweezers on the side somewhere. Anywhere she was sitting, she would just be like picking at herself no matter what she does. And I was like, okay, I guess that's just what it is. But as soon as I found that I started having hair, I was like, well, I guess I could copy what they was doing. Because to me, it didn't seem like it was that bad. But as I became older and I started talking to them, they didn't know what to do for me either. I mean, they said, here's a razor, here's some tweezers. But I realized what I had was different from what they had. Like, that was regular aging hair compared to actually having an actual condition. Because when I developed the hair, I was 15. I probably had it before that, just never noticed it. And it was a lot more than they had. So I was like, what is going on? Why do I have more hair than my mom and my grandmother at such a young age? So from just kind of like just doing anything, that really tore my skin. And at that point, it was like kind of just going downhill from there. As you saw, I had the makeup. Like, that's just last resort. Tear up my skin, throw makeup on it, make it worse.
So you had to learn from trial and error, even dealing with this stuff. You know what I mean? You might have been pulling skin out, trying to tweeze. You might have been shaving the wrong way. You know what I mean? All because of not being knowledgeable about the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking about this. And that's why, it's good that we're on here, letting people know, you're not alone. And, people have this issue. So you say, what's the statistics on it? You know about the statistics of women who may deal with this kind of
I
issue?
feel like it changes all the time. When I first did some research on it, it was like 1 out of 10 women. Now I look at the statistics, it's like 20% of women. 20% of women have some kind of level of excessive hair. But at the same time, like, is that even really accurate? Because a lot of people are just not accounted for. Because as a woman, we try to hide it so well under the makeup or whatever it is that we're doing. And this is not even to count the people who are doing like laser sessions. You know what I'm saying? So we hide it so well. We're not really telling everybody about it. And who's really keeping count here? Because I don't even think in my medical records they say I have hirsutism. I don't even think they say I have PCOS. I just found out I had PCOS due to an ultrasound. Now, is that noted in the medical records? Like, where y'all getting the information from?
Right. Yeah, nobody, you didn't get no survey talking about do you deal with facial hair? You know, it's just like a lot of these kind of statistics, you know, they might be skewed in a certain way, or there might be a lot of underreporting. You know, a lot of people aren't raising their hand and saying me, because like you said, or like we said, it's a taboo issue and they don't really want to bust themselves out. Like even when we go to vendor, you know, be a vendor somewhere, we try to do pop-ups. A lot of women might, you know, they be looking,
Yeah, look, yeah.
peeking but not speaking. So,
Hmm.
you know, and maybe they'll write down, they'll take a business card and be on their way. So,
Yeah, I don't know what the records are. Maybe we could bring in like a OBGYN person and they could tell us how they're collecting this information. I don't know, but I think that would be an interesting topic to discuss.
yeah, I don't, we didn't even say this, but you do have a solution that works for you. I think we should speak on that for the people who may not know. You created something in grandma's kitchen back in the day, and it helped you with your issues. You know what I mean? Tell us what it's called. Well, tell them what it's called. Obviously, I know I'm your husband. Tell the audience what it's called and what it does, and kind of how it works. Just a little small one. You know, we're gonna continue
Oh
with the
yeah,
get to know.
we gonna make it real quick because this is not a channel trying to be selling anything. This is the informative type of channel that we're really trying to put out there. But just real quick, I created the hair reducing fade oil. It's by Umber by Jay, which is myself, and I created this solution obviously because I didn't try so many other methods of trying to reduce or get rid of this facial hair. Nothing was working for me. I wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of time. And I kind of was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and create something that's all natural and that could work for me. Now, I'm not going to say that it's permanent because everybody going to use it the way they're going to use it. But what I will say is it'll make your life a lot easier because it definitely has made my life so much easier than it was before. Wish I had this stuff before, but I'm glad that I was the one to be able to create it.
And it's giving you so much more confidence. I
Oh,
mean, it
yeah.
used to be, I couldn't even touch your face for real. And it used to be,
Yeah. Yeah, that
what's up?
every now and then I still feel that way. I mean, I have no hair on my face, but just out of what do you call it? It's like
A habit, you
it
know.
is a habit. Yeah, I don't even have hair on my face like that. But when Chris tries to touch my face, I'm just like, don't touch it, bro. I don't want you to feel all that stubble. And I'm not even,
And we've been married for 10 years, y'all. Married 10 years. Like, I done seen it all.
yeah, he's seen the body hair, so he know for sure. But it's also that another habit I've been trying to make sure that I don't do is looking down. I don't know if any of y'all had this habit having to deal with like the whole hair along everything that you're trying to hide it so much that you do this when you're talking to somebody, you do this when you're walking, you're trying to like naturally hide something, but really you just look like you got a broke neck. So if you can just kind of just start trying to keep your head forward and not always leaning, you know.
Because it's a lot of, I think that a lot of things, well, one of the things that people may not know is that nobody is really looking at it like that. Like you probably care about it more than maybe the guy next to you. You know what I mean? We have our own like self-consciousness that, you know, maybe you got a bump, you know, somewhere and you think everybody looking at this bump, but really they don't even see it until you notice it or until you say something about it or until you're over here messing with it in front of them. You know what I mean? If you walk around with confidence, which I know a lot of y'all is doing, it's not really you got to be confident in you because it's you know what I mean. You can't change the fact of how you were born and what kind of conditions that you have. I mean, you can do better and try to seek solutions, but you know you got to be comfortable in your skin the way you are, and that's a lot of, I think social media wants to make people think they need to be perfect, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, but that's just not attainable. Nobody's perfect and we all got to just be okay with what we got.
Definitely. I think that was well said, babe. I'm glad that you're somebody who didn't care for me wear makeup. And I will say this, you guys. I used to model back in the day. And I will tell you, wearing makeup, I know things have changed also, but wearing makeup can really mess up your skin. It's already a struggle to be dealing with excessive facial hair and the dark spots and the ingrown hair. But to then apply something that's really not good for your face and makes it worse. Like it's just like an ongoing obstacle. We want to be perfect so much that we don't remember like the basics. The most basic thing you can do when dealing with this issue is just to make sure your face is clean and then to keep your hands off your face. Like, I mean, the hair removal thing, you just gotta find your way. You just gotta find your way. But to add to it, sometimes simpler is better.
Keep it simple. That's the kiss effect. They say keep it simple, stupid for y'all that don't know. Kiss effect. It works with a lot of stuff. We try to overcomplicate things. Excuse me, when it comes to health and beauty, but God made us the way we're supposed to be, and if we just keep it simple, I think it'll work out. But anyway, speaking of, you know, hair removal and, trying to find solutions, I remember you telling me, you went to the doctor and you tried to find a solution. And I know that or were you diagnosed there at the doctor, or like tell us your situation at the doctor? What did they say? How did they try to evaluate you?
So when I remember going, I went to the doctor at like, I want to say like late 16, going into 17. I remember going in there because I was trying to speak with my grandmother about the situation. And I said, I wonder if insurance could cover this, like if I could get like laser hair removal. So that was initially the real reason why I went to the doctor first. Like, okay, I've been doing a little bit of research and laser seemed like it was going to work. But anyway, so I went up there and um, I I was told that I may have PCOS. I remember that. I don't even think they do with Hirsutism, but I don't know what people know. But they told me PCOS, right? I said, okay. And then with that, they said, yeah, with the amount of hair that you have, you may not be able to have kids. Honestly, I'm like, is that even really something to be telling anybody for real? Because I haven't done any tests or anything yet. I did eventually do some blood work and my hormones came back normal.
They told you that before even testing that you couldn't have no kids. Like they.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm. This is Kaiser. Anyway, so
Yeah.
so I went there and I did my blood work and my hormones came back normal. I didn't have anything wrong with my hormones. Um Laser, I couldn't do the laser because at the time the insurance wouldn't cover it. They said that it was more of a cosmetic issue. It's not really a anything that's gonna mess you up in a life threatening way. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, do y'all not know this messes with my mental health? My confidence is all the way messed up. I'm not dating nobody. I don't want to be close to nobody. I'm not talking to nobody. I ain't trying to have no new friends because of my problem. You talking about it's not. It's just a cosmetic issue.
It's definitely not. Mental health is totally overlooked by our healthcare system. It's getting better now, but you've told me stories about, customers who've reached out to you and, they damn near was on the edge of trying to kill themselves or something over this, facial
Yeah,
hair. You feel like an outcast.
yeah, yeah, and you really can. I was in a very dark place at one point, but we could talk about that on some other episode. But yeah, it can really mess with your whole existence, really. Um, because here you are, especially as a teenager, you want to feel like you're at a stage where you're going to be the most attractive in your life, and then you start aging, and it's a whole different thing. So that's one thing. But also going back to being at the doctor, again, I didn't find out initially that I had PCOS until we had our first kid and we went and did that ultrasound. And even then, they were like, "We're surprised you're even pregnant because of all these cysts that's all over your ovaries."
And then you got pregnant again.
And I got pregnant.
And it
They
was.
told me, and they told me I wouldn't be able to have another kid too after the first one. But I will say this: after my second kid, they said, we may have to remove one of your ovaries, and I still haven't done it, unfortunately. I don't know if I want to, but whatever the case is, that's what they told me. Like the first time I went, I'll say this: I'm getting the story all mixed up. The first time I went for my appointment, they told me, well, if you want to control the facial hair, we could either give you birth control or we could give you spironolactone. And I knew, like, off top, I wasn't trying to take any of those things. I've heard some crazy stories with the birth control. And I was like, you know what? Eventually, I would like to have kids. Now, with the spironolactone, I heard it causes liver and stomach problems because you're not even supposed to take that long term. Both of those things you're not supposed to take long term. But for whatever reason, as women with this facial hair issue, we don't care what kind of problems come with it as long as this hair is not there. And I'm like, y'all got to make sure that y'all have your head on right, because there's nothing worse than having actual physical problems with your body compared to having hair on your face. Like, why would you do that? If you gonna do that, you might as well just, let me not even say all that. Just like, let's just do better.
A lot of women are like you said, willing to take that risk because that's how serious this is.
Yeah, it is. But there's always a method. There's always methods that you could do to help with the issue. I mean, not one method helps everybody. That's why there's multiple alternatives. I mean, laser is one of those things. Electrolysis is one of those things. Even though those things didn't help me out particularly, and I had to come up with my own solution, there was still something out there for me to use so I could get that confidence back, so I could feel better about myself, so I could walk amongst society. But yeah, I would never put myself in a position to where my body is falling apart because I want this hair to go away so much.
You brought up laser and everything. Can you speak on your experience with laser and electrolysis? I mean, you told everybody that you tried it, but I don't think you ever went into detail about your experience. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. When I first looked into laser, I wanted to do that first, but at the time it was not suitable for women of color because I've heard a lot of horror stories. At the time, it was burning skin instead of hair for women of color. And I was like, I had to opt out of that. So the next best thing was to do electrolysis. So I did electrolysis for a very, very, very long time. I did over like 30 hours of it for what I could afford. You know, had to be real spread out. But after doing that, I found that, at some point I couldn't spend the money anymore. And the hair just started coming back. And it came back way worse than what I began to have, like what I started off with. And I was like, oh no. So I gotta, not to say I say this all the time, not to say electrolysis doesn't work, but I personally feel that you have to go to the right person because that probe that they use, it has to reach like the core or the what am I saying? Root? Yeah, like the root of the follicle, and that's what they zap. But what I found out after doing all those hours of electrolysis, I'm like, maybe this lady was completely missing the root of the follicle because when you have curly hair, your hair follicle is going in at a angle. It's not going straight up and down. Mm-hmm. When you have straight hair, your hair is more likely to go straight up and down. So that probe that they use goes in like it should. But for someone who has curly hair, our mess goes in at a slant. And I'm thinking her probe just was never reaching where it should be. So I'm just like, maybe one day I'll try it again on my sideburns because I've got some stubborn sideburns. But I think that's really what happened with me. And that's why it didn't work out. And then eventually I did go and do laser. I did laser on my sideburns. And it got more hair. I was like, what is this? I only did like 4 sessions. And I know I'm supposed to be doing more than that. But after that third session, I saw there was more hair coming. And I was like, okay, maybe it just takes a minute to do it again. And I did the 4th one. And I was like, oh no, this not as right as it should be. And the crazy part was it was the YAG laser, the one that was meant for women of color. Mm-hmm. It was called the the Alexis? I want to say it's Alexis. Alex something, but it was a YAG laser.
I remember you going and telling me about that because if you guys don't know, laser doesn't really work for people of darker skin because it targets the pigment. It targets the melanin that's in the hair. And if you also got too much melanin in your skin, you're gonna get burnt up. I remember seeing some horror pictures, you know what I mean? People that got like third degree burns, maybe I can make it pop up on the screen so y'all can see. But yeah, it's horror stories. And I remember actually too, after you did that last couple sessions of electrolysis, like I was like, is this supposed to look like that? Like it looked like there was more additional scarring that was starting to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had some pits. Okay, that's one thing y'all need to look out for, like pit scars. And it took a minute for those to go away. Um, but again, I don't just it just kind of depends on the person you go to. And I can't really X out laser either because I've heard great things about laser working for women of color. I really just think it depends on who you go to. Do they know what they're doing? When it comes down to it, you just really gotta do your due diligence.
Yeah, you gotta look at them Yelp reviews and talk to your people because yeah, they'll mess you up like them barbers, like hair care. But yeah, like it's crazy. Like as a man, I don't really I don't envy, the beauty standards that y'all gotta try to keep up with in today's society. Uh, I'll wash my face and I'll be out the door. But
Must be nice.
but do you have any advice for women out there that are dealing with maybe excessive hair, advice for them to, be out there in the dating scene at all? I know it's been a while since you've been dating, but you got any advice for them?
Um, honestly, now this is my take. And I didn't even take my own. I'm not even really taking my own advice because I didn't do that back then. But if I had to go back, um, I would tell the person that I'm dating if they're staring too hard in my face, tell them what's going on.
Just let them know
Just let them know. And I think, see, I'm trying so hard to not say babe. Chris is right. Chris is right. He's like, yeah, we see it. You trying to hide it, but we see it. And I'm thinking at that point, just be transparent with the person that you're talking to. If you know what it is you got, of course. Tell them like, look, I got this condition. I've had it for this long. There ain't no cure for it right now, but I'm trying to work on it. And hopefully you don't care about these things and you're looking past it. Because I will say this, ladies, if you are dealing with somebody and you trying to hide the fact that you have this problem and maybe they don't notice it, you're just with them and you just kind of hiding it along. I'm not gonna say it's living a lie, but it kind of is. Cause let's say you decide to be like, F it, I'm just gonna grow it out. Then homeboy just leave because you just found out. You gonna be like, well, what happened?
It's better to do it, up front. Otherwise, you might be wasting your time.
You gonna be wasting your time because then it's like that person ain't who you thought they were because they too busy thinking about how you look. Now, for the ladies out there that wear makeup to go to bed, I can't say nothing for y'all. Like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But the main thing is to just be transparent and educate the person that you're with. Now, if they don't fool with you after that date, that's okay. That's not who you're supposed to be with.
That's not who you're supposed to be with.
It's not who you're supposed to be with. And there's plenty of men out there, including my fine ass husband, who don't care.
I mean, you gotta, we were speaking about the confidence thing. I mean, y'all got more to bring to the table than just your looks. If you only think if you only depend on your looks, then you're not gonna attract the right kind of man anyway. I mean, you got personality, you got intelligence, you know what I mean? You got your charisma, you know what I mean? Like y'all got a lot going for you. I mean, I seen it in her. I seen it, potential. People be talking about potential, but I seen what was there too. You know what I mean? And those little hairs, couple little hairs. I got a whole beard for real. Like if it was looking like that, then maybe I would have thought a little bit differently. But most of y'all only got a couple little. You know what I mean? It ain't that bad. That's all I was trying to. It's not. If you think it's bad, it's probably to somebody else. It's probably 10 times less than what you think it is. Like you think it's up here, it's really ain't much. You know what I mean? And if you're just dealing with it anyway, you shaving it. I mean, even if you didn't shave, like I joke with her sometimes, if you didn't want to shave it no more, I'm finna leave you. If you didn't want to, remove it and do plucking and all that, I ain't about to leave. We got too much you know,
history. Plus, it's cheaper to keep her.
It's cheaper than.
Anyway, no, for the women out there who do have like a full face beard, like it's okay.
It's all right.
It's all right, because I can name like a good 4 to 5 women who have like a lot of hair on their face, like for real, and they are all married, and they let that mess grow out. It grows out, and they don't care. They don't give a F, and their husbands ain't tripping either, because you know why? It was their personality.
It's you.
It was them. They looked past the hair. And sometimes I think guys don't care anyway. As long as you got a certain part, I don't think they trip it out.
Y'all be working on a lot of stuff that we don't care about. Like, ain't nobody caring about no eyelashes. Ain't nobody finna care about, I mean, even eyebrows a lot of the time. Like, men is not very picky, all right? We are not picky, for real. Like, we will love you for you. Your person will come for you, and they're gonna love you for you. So I think that, we're going to go over more episodes and stuff about relationships and the whole dating game. But, this is just the first initial episode. And I think it's going pretty well. I mean, you got anything? That was most of my questions that I had there. I got to go get the kids in a minute. We still got stuff to do. Yeah. So,
is it that time already? Yeah, you're right.
So, unless you got any questions for me or any kind of final thoughts.
I have a question for you. For anybody who's a guy looking at this, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Man, if I would have been, what's the term called when you just looking at, the little things, superficial. If I just would have been one of them superficial guys, how much of a blessing I would have missed out on. Like, this woman here is the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you looking at the little things and not taking a look at the bigger picture, you blocking your blessings, bro. You blocking your blessings. Since I married this woman, we've been building, and our life has got nothing but better every year. And a lot of people, they don't see that. You know what I mean? They don't want to build with you. They want you to be built up already, or you know what I mean? They have certain expectations for you to be doing you. But if you find you a good person who you could vibe with, who you got chemistry, and you can look past the little things, you know what I mean? Because everybody's got flaws. We all got flaws. But when you find that person where them flaws don't matter, that's your person, man. You ain't got a trip for real. It ain't. Lil Common say it don't take all day to notice the sun was shining. He say something like that. It don't take a whole day to recognize the sunshine, y'all. Y'all better recognize you're gonna be out here by yourself.
By yourself. I mean, yeah. I would touch on that a little bit more, but we can do that for maybe we can do that for tomorrow's episode or something. But yeah, thanks, man. Made me feel real good today with you saying all that.
I love you, girl.
I love you too.
All right, I think that's the episode for today. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, because we're going to be coming out with a whole lot of more stuff. We're going to be having some guests.
We have to.
It's going to be good. It's going to be this for the culture. It's for the community. And y'all let us know in the comments too about, topics y'all want us to cover and what you think.
I think that's good. All right, you guys. If you guys have any questions at all when it comes to the excessive hair or anything like that, make sure that you send us an email. If you follow us on Instagram, Umber J Lene is our Instagram. UmberJLene.com is our website. Like I said, we're always out here to help as well. So, like I said, I ain't out here creating this podcast to be selling to y'all. We out here trying to educate and make sure that you guys are your better selves at the end of the day. I don't know. Is that's a wrap, huh?
That's a wrap, baby. Umber out.